Welcome, fellow Lushes. Come on in, pull up a bar stool, and enjoy some cocktails with Dimples and the Beard.
My headphones work. My microphone works.
I don't.
Your microphone works. We're not recording there yet. I'll just hit it. I don't give a shit. There. I'd rather record 20 minutes too much than not record anything at all. And we can do a little intro. Because tonight we've made our way to Hollywood. Hollywood director of film. New film out on Amazon Prime. Kindred.
Let's start that.
A wonderful psychological thriller, I think you would call it. I think it gets lumped into horror, but it's not horror. It's more psychological thriller. Director is Adrian, and I hope I'm pronouncing the last name correctly, Leon, and he will be on with us
Shortly.
Thanks for finishing my sentence, hype man. Boom. Awesome. I liked the hype man part from the Gorge fun. I think you probably didn't watch the episode, but I had to watch the whole thing when I edited it because I was like, okay, we were really kind of drunk for most of it, and maybe we said some stupid shit. So I thought I better.
Which we did.
No, not really. Not really. It wasn't bad. So I didn't edit anything out. So other than the beginnings and the ends of all the segments.
Sure.
So no, we weren't as cray as I thought we might be. So
all right. Fair enough.
Yeah, so if you're listening to this one because you're like, they are interviewing a Hollywood director, they must be huge. We are. Go back and listen to the Fun at the Gorge episode because that was a fun episode. I think I said in a little write-up, I think that's probably my favorite episode we've done. So far. Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought it was a blast.
I started watching it last night.
Yeah. I mean, it's.
And then why am I watching this?
I got homework to do.
I got homework to do. So I started.
You got to do some.
Looking into Adrian and watched his documentary.
Which one?
Trafficked no more.
Trafficked? You better let me pronounce that.
I pretty much let you pronounce everything.
Trafficked.
There you go.
Not trafficked.
That's what I said.
Trafficked.
Things come out of my head. So yeah, that's what.
Yeah, don't.
So this is all on that.
How about you don't try and say Adrian's last name?
Leon. I got that.
You got what's his first name?
Adrian.
Okay, wow, doing better.
Leon.
Yeah.
Leon.
The
Professional.
I think
it's a great movie.
Adrian Leon is in The Professional.
Nothing to do with him. The name of the movie is Leon, The Professional. Ever seen it?
No.
Highly recommend it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it.
Okay. It's called Leon, The Professional.
Yep.
Like Leon, ... The Professional.
Yep.
Is it about a hitman?
It is
an assassin.
Yes.
Okay. Let me guess. He catches feelings for somebody. Can't kill him.
No.
It's got to be a moral crisis in there somewhere.
Gary Oldman's in it. Crazy bad guy.
Gary Oldman plays a good crazy bad guy.
He's freaking amazing.
Yeah, like Gary Oldman.
Over the top. Yeah. So no, it's a great movie.
Is it older? New? I mean, it must be fairly old.
Yeah, good 10 years for sure.
Okay. And it was directed by.
Want to say
it was directed by Adrian. Written, produced, starred in. Editing.
Yeah, nothing.
Then why are we talking about it?
The name.
Oh.
Natalie Portman's first movie. She's like 10. So relax.
Okay.
Relax.
That's creepy then.
It is the way you said that.
But it is okay that I went when she was in Black Swan, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
If you didn't have a pulse every week. Just get over it every week. It's gonna happen.
God,
motherfucker. She'll be in her first movie at
she was only 10 in her first movie,
something like that.
Shit, good for you, Nat.
She does a great job.
Nat,
she's awesome in the movie.
She's a great actress.
Yeah, she was great in this movie. You could just see like
She
is going to be good.
she is fantastic. Let's do 5:30 our time. Your time.
Cool.
Wait, what am I? Oh no, okay. Yeah.
Did we miss it?
Yeah, no. It's 5:30 his time. I was reading that like he said that to me, and I would have been like, well, wait, that's 3:30 our time. We missed it by a lot. No, I sent that to him 5:30 his time, so that's 7:30 our time. So he should be on shortly. It looked like he was active on the social medias right now. So he's probably just on there checking. Oh, what time did I say we were going to do this? So pretty soon we'll get a little thing that he's in the waiting room. And I think
how do I keep cutting out?
we're cutting out.
Yeah, twice now.
What's cutting out?
Like our
It hasn't cut out my headphones. It's probably because you keep pulling the fucking
nope.
wire out of your headphones.
See? Nope. See? Nope.
I haven't heard it.
You were talking there. Anyway, well, we'll see.
Are you
There it
sure?
is.
Sure. What?
There it was.
It's your fucking wire. It's
I'm
not
not touching it. I wasn't moving.
Well, it's fine, but it's not happening to me. Get your fucking professional on, motherfucker. You got a fucking Hollywood director coming in, and
I'm wearing pants. I'm professional.
you're fucking don't have headphones at work.
But I got pants. So
Well,
back off.
I'm sure Adrian will be happy that you have pants on.
Most people are.
Yeah, most people are happy that I have pants on too. I found that out.
After the fact.
Yeah, after this past weekend. You figure out how to pixelate yet? People are clamoring. There's comments already out there. When are we going to see the video? When are we going to see the video?
Well,
When are we going to see the gherkin?
now
in
that I don't
action?
have this weekend, I can do that.
Gherkin. I love gherkins. Oh yeah. It'd be crazy if if I didn't have him in the waiting room and he came in and I was singing the gherkin song. I am going to ask him if I can be in his next movie. Is that weird? I think he should, if he does a movie where he needs like two guys who are pretending to podcast in the movie, like maybe he makes a psychological thriller where there's a serial killer who likes to kill podcasters because it's too free and too open and they say too much. We could be the first podcasters to get killed in like the opening scenes.
I'm in.
Yeah, it'd be great.
A lot of times they have the killers like call into stuff. Sometimes they call into the newspapers, they call into radio shows. We call into podcasters explaining who his next murder victim is.
Oh, and then they got to put it on the air and everybody's got to try and find it out. Hints of what the podcast is.
And he drops hints of what's the connection between our podcast and the murders.
I like it. And because we're the first, like we're we get killed in the opening credits, right? So all you hear is somebody saying to him, calling into this podcast and saying, it's a really stupid one where they talk about drinking. And then we're like, oh shit.
Yeah.
And we get it right through the heart.
Why do we never have a knock on the door? Why is there
right? Oh, I think I ordered a pizza.
Killed online?
While we're recording.
It's the evidence.
Can we pitch this? Can we pitch this to him? He'll watch it. He'll watch it.
I'm almost thinking that maybe it's reoccurring.
We're reoccurring?
That he calls the same he can't kill us because he keeps calling into our podcast.
Well, I think that makes
we do it live.
I think that makes us a little bit too big of the stars. I'm saying
I would just be bit parts. Obviously, the stars would be the detective trying to solve the case.
I know, but
the killer.
Even we'd be in the movie a lot, and I don't think anybody needs that. I am all about just getting us killed the first scene.
Yeah, that's fine.
And he's in the waiting room. All right, are we ready?
Absolutely.
You betcha.
Introduce. I will.
If I can find them.
Just confirm it's recording.
It is. Admit. Oh, there we go. Hello, sir.
How are you? Howdy, Doody. How are you today?
I'm wonderful. Thank you. Now, are you Dean?
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 Yeah.
Yes. And I'm sorry, what was your name?
My name's Kevin.
Kevin, that's it. Okay. I looked on your YouTube videos and I couldn't find, and I even watched some of your podcast episodes. And
I'm sorry.
And you still showed up.
I still showed up.
Yes. Perfect.
That's hurdle number one.
Fantastic. Yeah. Thank you so much for being willing to do this. We really appreciate it.
No, I appreciate you having me on. Thank you for that. Now you're in Wisconsin, right?
We are drinking Wisconsinably.
Oh, what part of Wisconsin?
Nina, we're kind of in between Milwaukee and Green Bay. So yeah.
Yeah. My stepdaughter, she's in Racine right now. Is that how you say it?
Yeah.
That's close to Milwaukee.
Yeah, just south of Milwaukee. Yeah, we're north of Milwaukee by about an hour and a half.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, she's she's dating a young Air Force serviceman, and he just got back from deployment, and as soon as he got back, they went to Wisconsin to see his family. So
Okay.
Thank you to him.
Yeah, thanks to
yeah, absolutely.
her boyfriend. Awesome.
Noah is his name.
Thank you, Noah.
Yeah, definitely do appreciate it. That's all right. How you been? Well, let's introduce our guest. We
fail to do that so often when we do this. Like we just get talking and forget about the introduction. So
that's the best way to do it. You just go into it.
Yeah. So Adrian, how do we pronounce the last name? Is it Leon or Leon?
Yeah, well, the first Leon is the proper way, but I've heard it Leon my entire life, so it's all good. Whatever happens to feel right in the moment is
okay. Okay. I noticed the little tick mark above it, so I thought it must be the Leon. So
yes, that's absolutely right.
Perfect. And you are the director of the movie Kindred, which just came out on Amazon. So
yeah, it did, and now it's on Tubi TV.
Okay.
Oh, perfect.
Nice.
Which we both had a chance to watch.
Okay.
and loved.
Having me on.
And loved it. Yeah, I thought it was fantastic. And we've had conversations with Karina, and when we talked about the movie, she said, you should try and get Adrian on. And I said, okay, I was going to ask him. And she said, he's already interested. So
perfect.
Oh, she's amazing. Karina is a great friend of mine. She's so talented, and she has a beautiful heart.
Yeah, she does. She's been so kind to us. So
she's been great for our podcast. Yes.
Yeah.
And with her upcoming one, so shout out to her. She's doing great for us.
Yeah, she has a lot of stuff in the works, a lot of irons in the fire, and she's just an incredible cheerleader to her friends who are also creators. And you've seen that, of course.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Mm-hmm. And we interviewed Patrick last night.
Yes, I heard Patrick called me this morning, told me he had a great time talking to you.
Oh, okay. We enjoyed it. Yeah, it was wonderful. He's a great guy.
Yeah, he's a great storyteller.
Oh yeah. We would have coffee, and he would just, enchant me with all these stories of acting in New York and in Hollywood. He's amazing. And of course, for the people listening, he's the one of the male leads in Kindred.
Yes. Plays Alan, the father, and does a wonderful job.
Yes, he's amazing.
All of them did. All the actors did.
Yeah, that's kind of the key, is to find, especially when you're working with such a low budget and with such a small amount of resources. I think the important thing besides the story is to find actors who show up ready to work. And I think one of the first steps in that is finding actors who already embody the character from day one. So for example, the lead character, who is played by Ethan Smart.
Boy, did you luck out with him.
Oh man, tell me about it. No, seriously, he's just
serious.
Yeah, he's incredible. And most of that movie was shot in maybe 1 or 2 takes, because we had such a small amount of time, right? And we did it in 11 days.
Oh wow.
Plus 1 extra day for some just pickup shots, inserts of maybe a hand or maybe a microphone swinging into the shot, and then the drone shots, which you saw. But for example, that character is, a loner and kind of angsty, and, not the type of guy that, probably would have been popular in school, And so when I held the casting call, a lot of really talented actors came in, and a lot of them looked like they could have been the high school jock, dating the lead cheerleader, and they were very, very talented. But what I realized early on was the audience was not going to buy someone like that retreating into an apartment and cutting himself off from society, basically, or his family.
Yeah.
So when Ethan came in, he kind of came in with that strong attitude that was already written into the character. And I remember very clearly, because I like my actors when they come into audition, I like them to have another actor off camera to act with, because that's how it's going to be on the set. And a lot of auditions that are held, the poor actors have to come in and there's no one off camera acting with them. They're just there reciting the lines. So I had Pat there that day that Ethan came in, Pat, who you had on last night.
Yeah.
And man, just the chemistry was there, which I'm sure you saw in the film. The chemistry.
Yeah, it's evident. Yeah.
Yeah, you see the sparks, and I thought, and I realized to the right actor, you can just tell them stand there and do nothing, and you roll the camera and like that's it. They've captured it,
Yeah.
And so that makes the job easier, for the director. It was the same thing with Pat. It was the same thing with Karina. Karina never talks about the amazing things she does, but she has a lot of compassion for kids, and she has a really charitable heart. And so that's who the character is. She meets, she finds this abandoned child out in the desert, and immediately, her heart goes out to this little boy. And so Karina was just perfect for the role. They all were.
Yeah, I was watching with a female friend of mine, and the first thing she said about Karina was she does motherly perfect. Like she just nailed it. Like you could just feel it coming out of her.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And let me tell you something. That scene with them in the bed, the first scene where she's basically telling Alan, her husband, that she wants to bring this little kid home. And part of the backstory between those two characters is that she could never have any children of her own, and that was absolutely fine with Alan, her husband, right? Because he's just a selfish character. He just wants this trophy wife, and for all the attention to be on him. He doesn't want to have to compete with anybody. And that scene with them in the bed where she's telling him she wants to bring this little kid that she found home, a year prior, that was not in the script. And when I got them together for the rehearsals, I had wanted them to have a shared memory of that moment when she says, I want to adopt this little kid. And it was just for the purposes of them creating a memory that they could refer to during their performances, right?
Oh, okay.
And they just started ad-libbing this scene, and I thought, oh my God, this is perfect. And I happened to have a notebook and a pen, and I started scribbling everything down, like the bullet points of everything they were improvising. And I said to them, I'm going to sneak this shot in somewhere. I don't know, because the shooting schedule was so tight, right?
Yeah.
And we had already had the subsequent scene written in the script where he says, I'm going to throw my Viagra down the toilet. And I said, okay, all right, so we're going to shoot that scene in bed. So we'll just shoot the scene, this improvised scene right before. And I wrote down the bullet points. I gave it to them, and I said, this is what I want to do. And they did it in one take, which I thought was just wow.
Yeah.
I could tell what I liked about it was right away, in a short amount of time, you learned a lot of the backstory, and it didn't take long to figure out what was going on. You compiled it really well at the beginning to know where they were at, character wise.
Yeah, well, I appreciate you saying that. And already you're kind of at the top of the heap of the people who watched it, because I'm getting. It's really interesting as a creator of media, of content, to read what people are saying. People who you've never met, and it can be a very precarious spot, especially if you're an insecure person. Now, I've had 25 years of experience producing for TV, and I've read what people say about stuff I say, so I'm used to it. But it's still it can still be a little nerve-wracking, right? And so it seems like you guys got it, but it seems like people either get the movie or they don't, and that's fine. Yeah, and that's fine. It's not everyone's gonna love it, but it's definitely a film that requires attention. You can't be scrolling on your phone while you're watching, right? Because you're gonna miss something.
You will, yes.
And you shouldn't be. I mean, if somebody makes a movie where I can be scrolling on my phone, yeah, I'm there for that entertainment. I don't need my phone for the next hour and a half. So
I wish everyone was like you.
Put it down and watch. I mean, and I knew going in, when you watch a psychological thriller, you have to pay attention. It's not a slapstick comedy where you can, just kind of come in and out of it. So
yeah, and just be listening in one ear and kind of, talking to your kids out the, whatever. And I think that, my heart kind of sank a little bit because it wasn't that long ago. It was 2 weekends ago. I was at a family birthday party, and my niece, who's in the film, just as a background extra, she's in the insane asylum scene. When Pat walks into the insane asylum, she's playing the nurse who's walking.
Oh yeah,
A patient out.
And she said, "Oh, you know, Uncle," she said, "I love the film." Keep in mind, she has 4 children at home, right? And she said, "Oh man, I love your movie, but like 5 minutes into it, I realized I was really gonna have to, like, you know, I couldn't have it playing in the kids, and but if I was really gonna get it." And for the first time, I thought, "Oh my God, like, it's so true." Sometimes these days people's attention span is so short. You just have to hope that the people who find it are the type that are gonna give it the attention that hopefully it deserves.
Yeah.
Well, it definitely deserves attention.
It does. Yeah, it deserves it. Absolutely.
How did the project start? I see you're collaborated writing the well, you did everything on the movie. You wrote it, you directed, you produced it, you edited it. It seems like you wanted hands in everything.
Yeah, it's true, and that was really out of necessity. And it's so funny, and I'll answer that question in a second. But how did it start? But I remember very clearly my third gig in TV, which was about 2 years after I started, because I had my first professional gig in production was in 1997, and it was about a year and a half later, 99. I was hired at the smallest TV station in the city that I live in, Las Vegas. Originally, I'm from California, LA. But I was living in Las Vegas at the time, and the production manager there, lovely person named Kate, she called me in because I had applied for just like an internship there. And keep in mind, this is the smallest TV. And she said, "Look, with this job, you're never gonna go lower than this job." Right, you're in the entertainment and TV and production, you're never going to go lower than this job. But everything you learn at this job, you will take with you, right? You will take with you for the rest of your life, for as long as you make this your career. And while I was there, I wrote, I edited, I did the camera, I did the lights, I directed, I produced. The first year alone, we had so much work coming in and out of that TV station, the production department where I started as an assistant editor. The first 12 months, one day it was an uncharacteristically slow day. And I thought, well, let me just see how many spots that have aired I've actually worked on in the last 12 months, right? And I took out the logs, because you had to log everything. And I just found my initials on every single thing, on every single line item, right? And it was over 850 spots that had aired on TV.
Wow.
I had either edited, shot, directed, or all three, And I thought, oh my gosh, well, that's crazy. And I worked there almost 3 years. And that was probably the least busy, year that I was there. So it really, even though that was over 20 years ago, it really prepared me well for the work that I had to do on this. Because even though I had gone on to do, spots for national TV, and I've had crews, and I've sat in the big HD trucks and calling the shots with the cameras, and I've had people do every little job. For this movie, it wasn't going to be like that. We shot it for like $70,000, which is a pittance.
Wow,
and
right?
That's like the catering budget for the first week. And the way that it started was, of course, I got into production because I wanted to make movies. I grew up watching movies. I inherited that love from my dad, who inherited it from his grandma, who used to take him to movie theaters when he was a little kid, and they would just watch movies, every Saturday. And I knew that what I had to do was I had to write I had to write a stage play, a film with the least amount of locations possible. Because when you move from one location to another, when you're shooting a film, that takes time. You have to load up all the gear into the truck.
Sure.
The whole crew has to get into the trucks and their vans and their cars, and they got to go to the new location. Then they got to, kind of take stock of the situation, unload everything, and then set everything up. So that's called a company move. And I knew that if I had too many company moves during the production of the film in 11 days, it was going to be, well, you know, this is like when I first started, I didn't know it would be 11 days, but I knew it would be a very small amount of time.
Yeah.
And so I set out, I just, it really, I guess the idea came out of necessity. I thought, what can I write that can take place mostly in one room? And I thought, well, what can I, so I had the idea of a guy sitting in a room, listening to other rooms in his building. And then what if the person in a room he's listening to dies under very mysterious circumstances, or something very weird happens under very mysterious circumstances. And so he pulls that thread and it all begins to unravel around him, you know?
Yeah.
And as I was writing it, I thought, well, maybe we can see when he's found in the beginning, because, you know, people are going to want to see that. So I thought, okay, well, so there's one location. And then I thought, well, the climax really should be him being able to go to where all of this started. And of course, I don't want to spoil it too much.
Yep.
And so that's another location, right? And then, well, now we got to see where Pat and Karina live, their characters. So that's another location. And it's not really that many more locations beyond that. The insane asylum, the office, we're talking 5 or 6 locations, you know, and the draft that I had 6 months before we began to shoot, I broke it down with the producer, and I had that sobering realization. Oh my goodness, because I had an idea of how much money was going to be available to me, right?
Yeah.
How much more I could raise in that short amount of time. And I thought, I can't shoot this for this amount of money. And and that's when there's no writer's block, because you don't have a choice, because the wheels on the train are already rolling. And I wrote the draft that became the film, and I cut out a lot of the, you know, originally he was supposed to venture out of his room and see what had happened in these different apartments. And out of necessity, I had to trim that, and that's where the character of Leonard came about, the maintenance man.
He's awesome too.
Oh yeah, no, he's and you know, that was probably the most difficult acting performance in the film, because like I mentioned before, all of the other roles, they're almost playing themselves in a way.
Yeah.
Right. But Kevin, he came in as if he did have some kind of a diagnosis, you know? And so I was like, you know, those of us who were there watching the tapes, and when we called him in, because we called in, you know, people who actually did have some kind of a diagnosis, right?
Oh, okay.
And so we were talking about Kevin, like, is he really, or is he not, or, you know? So
Okay.
he came in, he did the thing, right? And then I called cut on the audition, and then he just kind of like, hey, okay, all right, thank you. And I thought, oh wow, like that was incredible, you know? And so yeah, people for the most part have told me that he steals the show for them, you know?
Yeah,
in his scenes, yeah, he's a scene stealer.
Yeah, and it's nice how you use him to tell the story that you couldn't move Ethan's character around, so he gets to kind of tell the story of what Ethan would be seeing. So yeah, he was a wonderful character.
Oh, thank you for that. And you know, the whole movie is really through Ethan's point of view, or you know, through his character's point of view. So it kind of made sense. It kind of all came together like that, you know. Yeah.
I did like that part of it where he used him, selfish but himself, you know, to be his eyes and stuff. So that was that was a neat part. Yeah,
and so, you know, so writing Leonard, knowing that that's the purpose he had to serve in the story, I had to write Leonard as someone who was very easy to take advantage of.
Yeah.
Right.
Very, you know, someone who had a lot of rooting interests, meaning someone who's very likable, you know, that the audience begins to root for that character, they bond with that character. And, you know, really the whole film, there are a lot of themes, but the whole film in a way is a thesis on mental illness, right? Because, you know, Ethan's character Winters has, you know, this thing going on, and apparently it's been passed down from him to him by his biological mom. And it's alluded to in the story that he has some type of schizophrenia. Right. And so as I was writing it, I was thinking, you know, that this building is really a metaphor for his mind, you know. And when Leonard comes in and he says, hey, hey boss. Well, I'm not your boss. Technically you are. I have 100 different bosses in the building, you know. And so really the connection I'm trying to make is Ethan has these disembodied voices coming through his speakers, right? The people he's listening to. And so when Leonard says that, that's kind of an allusion to oh, he's schizophrenic, and I have 100 different voices telling me what to do, you know?
Yeah. Yep.
So, you know, it's just, you have fun like that as a filmmaker, kind of creating those things that most people probably won't get, but that, you know, I think a few people might.
Oh yeah, that's what I enjoyed, that part a lot.
Yeah.
Which I want to ask you is, so what was a big influence? Who was one of your influences as a director?
Oh my gosh, there's so many. As it pertains to this film, you know, Francis Coppola, who made the Godfather films and Apocalypse Now, he made a little film between the first Godfather and the second Godfather called The Conversation with Gene Hackman. And, you know, he plays a professional wiretapper, and, you know, and he makes a recording, and he has to get to the bottom of this meaning in one of these recordings that he makes. And that was a huge influence for me. I just love that film. You know, it's a small film, and hardly anyone talks about it.
It's very underrated. It's a very underrated movie.
Yeah, absolutely. Brian De Palma's Blowout with John Travolta. You know, that was a huge.
Why that brought me to, go ahead, I'll let you finish.
No, please.
Watching the movie, and that's what made me think I want to ask, even before we knew we were going to talk to you, was your influences. And that exactly, Brian De Palma and Blowout were first thing that came to my mind.
Oh yeah,
because that's one of my favorite all-time movies is Blowout.
Really? Oh man, I love that film. I love that film.
Yes.
Oh, he's so amazing in that. And then David Lynch, Blue Velvet. And you know, the thing is, David Lynch, some of his movies are really incomprehensible.
True.
But I dig them, you know, and when I watch them, I'm still feeling it the next day, you know? And so David Lynch, you know, he made a movie called Blue Velvet, you know, with Kyle MacLachlan a long time ago. And that was an influence as well. And so what I've tried to do in the marketing of this film, because it really is kind of a grassroots kind of marketing effort, is I target people on social media who like those films.
Yep.
The Conversation, right? Blue Velvet, Blowout, you know, and you know, it's funny because those are the ads that have, you know, you see the spike in traffic going to watch the movies, which is really satisfying.
Yeah. I've seen you compare it, or somebody compare it to Memento as well.
Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, that was absolutely. I loved that film. I think it's probably my favorite Christopher Nolan film, other than Dunkirk, which is I have a thing for World War II pictures. You know?
Okay.
But Memento is amazing. And there was another one that someone mentioned, and I thought, oh my God, you're right. And I can't think of it right now. It must be the one.
Yeah.
Well, yes. How about cheers? Oh, cheers for having you on. Yes.
Yeah. Cheers.
I see you have wine. We are cocktails in our name, so we'll acknowledge that quick.
Well, you know, I just came back from a camping trip in Zion.
Oh, okay.
And my girlfriend is amazing at planning the camping trips. The last one we went to before that was Navajo Lake in Utah, right? Which was just this beautiful, pristine place. But that was cold when we went there. It was cool. It was freezing at night, right? And so when we were going to Zion, or when we were planning it, I thought, you know, it's going to be warm. I was looking at the weather, and it was going to be warm. And she had already bought, you know, beer and wine. And so she had bought this box of wine right here.
Oh yeah.
But you know, red wine always makes me kind of like warm, you know,
right?
Kind of hot, and I don't like really drinking it in hot weather. And so I just stuck with the ice cold beer, and I thought, well, you know, I got this box here, so it's perfect. I can.
Perfect.
Yeah.
we are definitely a box wine kind of podcast for sure.
Well, you know what's so funny is I was thinking, well, maybe I'll buy a nice bottle of Coppola, you know, because for this. And then I thought, well, you know, maybe this is more appropriate for me because as far as filmmakers go, I think I'm probably still in the box wine category.
And it's what you could afford on your budget of your movie.
Yeah, that's true. This is kind of like an 11-day, $70,000 budget.
Well, maybe not for long. Maybe not for long. What?
Oh, from your lips to God's ears.
Yeah. So what's next? You have a project in the works right now?
Yeah, I have. Oh my goodness, yes, always. And I'm always looking forward to finishing projects and not having anything on my slate. And and it just never happens. And I just think that I guess I'm kind of a workaholic in a way.
Okay.
You know? It's just things kind of happen, and I want to do them. You know, so one project I'm working on does not have a title. As a matter of fact, I don't think any of them have titles right now. But a friend of mine named Tracy Garner, he's an associate producer on Kindred. You see his name in the end credits. And you know, we've always wanted to make a film together. And he made a film, oh goodness, 16 years ago. It was a little indie film, bigger budget than mine, but still kind of in the same neighborhood. Just kind of, you know, a little more money, a little more time,
Sure.
a little more crew, and you know, he did really well. He got a theatrical distribution in like 30 theaters across the country, and it's still making some money, you know, to this day. It's called Return with Honor. And so that came out in 06, but he really, you know, he's really focused on writing since then. He became a really great writer. So he has a movie under his belt, and now I have a movie under my belt. And we kind of were just talking the other day, and he had this idea, and I said, you know, that's a really great idea. So we decided we're going to make it him as the writer director, and I'm going to produce it for him and probably edit it for him. And we'll just make this thing and put it out into the world. And I also have another film that I'm writing, which has interest among investors, and it's more of a supernatural horror story. Whereas, yeah, Kindred is more of I call it a surrealist neo-noir psychological thriller, you know.
Sure.
But this one is more of it's a ghost story, you know. And I'm hoping to be a little more, you know, a little more scary, some more jump scares, and not as impenetrable as Kindred. Because Kindred, you really like, you know, you can watch it twice, 3 times, and each time you're catching little details, right?
Right.
And even the sound designer, David Rodriguez, he was incredible. He was working on Kindred, and he's like, oh my gosh, like, because I gave him all the sound files, all the tracks, and so he was working on the dialogue, and then he would work on the ambiances, and then he told me later, he said, wow, I'm like listening to this scene, and I'm thinking it needs more stuff, and then he goes down into the tracks below that, and it's like, oh my gosh, there's more stuff, you know, all the sounds that are coming out of his mixing board, and you know, all these things, and you know, so anyways, I think I want to get away from making something so incredibly complex and maybe just tell a simple ghost story. So I'm working on that, and and so there's another project that came along a couple of days ago that I'm not allowed to say anything about.
Yeah.
It has a lot of promise. So yeah, you know, I'm just you know, just trying to keep it going.
Perfect.
I do. Last night I watched your documentary, Traffic No More.
Oh, you did? Okay.
I did. Very, very touching. Very well done.
Thank you.
So not to somber up, but I'd like to touch on that for a little bit and how you got involved with that and any updates since 2015.
Yeah, you know, that was an interesting project, and we had a couple of grand to make that. We're talking like $2,000 or $3,000. So what happened was I got a phone call from a pastor in Las Vegas, and a law had been passed in Nevada, which made it a crime to traffic someone, right?
AB 67.
Yes, that's it. So basically, and it's hard to believe, but before that law passed, it wasn't a crime, right? Yeah. So now, so it became a crime punishable by a sentence up to life in prison, right? And the state of Nevada wanted to put the word out, and so I got the call to make a program that would air across the entire state of Nevada, educating people, letting them know that this law had passed, that potentially their kids were in danger if they were exhibiting certain red flags, right? And that for the most part, a lot of these girls weren't necessarily the criminals. There was someone behind them kind of, you know, pulling the strings, manipulating them and putting them into these positions, right? So over the course of a year, we shot this film, and I interviewed you know, someone from the FBI. Of course, I interviewed the then Attorney General, who's now one of the U.S. senators for Nevada, Catherine Cortez Masto. And I interviewed survivors, girls who had been sex trafficked, and a mother of a sex trafficking victim. And it was really the most depressing, most difficult thing I've ever worked on, right? And keep in mind, my second daughter, my girlfriend was pregnant with our second daughter. So I had a 2-year-old daughter, or she was 1 going on 2 during this year of production.
Sure.
Had another daughter on the way. And I was having to document these stories about daughters being victimized. And of course, sons, we focus mainly on the daughters. And there were so many stories that were so over the top. Like
Too many stories.
Yeah, that we had to leave out of it because we were kind of trying to educate the public. And I mean, just imagine this, where it's a topic, it's sex trafficking, and you're making it so that it can air leading into prime time on TV, on every single station simultaneously. It was a roadblock broadcast, right? And it was such a sordid and ugly topic that you had to make palatable for families to watch together, right? Mm-hmm. So we had a lot of these stories out. One of them involved a grandmother pimping her own grandkids.
God.
And the reason we had to leave that out was because there were a lot of people out there that don't believe this is a problem in this country, but it is, right? So, and I even went undercover. Well, we went up to Reno, and I was with the police force up there, and they set up this room, and they put the ad on the internet, and they had a picture of a girl that was obviously under 18. And they set her up in a hotel room, and she was just a young-looking police officer, female police officer. And you know how the motel rooms have that door that goes into another room?
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah.
So there were probably a dozen police officers in there, and then there was the room that she was in, and in that bathroom, I was in there with like a 6.5 foot tall ex-Marine police officer. With we had bulletproof vests on, and I had to rush in there, but it was his job to protect me. You know what I'm saying? And I wired the room as if I were the character in Kindred. I put little microphones everywhere, and guys would come in expecting to have sex with a girl that was in her teens. And I was basically the guy, almost like in that show. What is it? To Catch a Predator. Remember that?
Sure.
Yeah, Dateline. Yeah.
Yeah. So we made this over the course of a year, and I remember I was editing it. And keep in mind, hardly get it was a labor of love for all of us that were working on it, and it was only like 2 or 3 of us that were working on it, right? So again, my experience from the TV station was paying off because I was able to record sound and light the interviews and shoot them and do the editing and do, just basically wear all those hats. Mm-hmm. And I remember I was editing and I was having to go through hundreds of hours of footage.
Oh God.
And I had a kid on the way, and I was devoting all this time to a project that really wasn't paying a lot. And it was so incredibly heartbreaking. And I remember I had a moment in my spare bedroom, which I've always had a spare bedroom that I edit in, right? Because I've always been, ever since after Telemundo, I've been a freelance producer and I do my work at home. And I remember just almost to the point of breaking down, like, oh my God, because the 2 producers and I had said, we may never know the impact that this show has, right?
Right.
And I remember editing, and it just the pressure of it and the tone of it and the content of it, and having to, when you're editing, you're watching stuff over and over again. It really got to me. And I'm not the most religious or spiritual person, but I believe that there is, a creator out there, right? And I said, God, like, I need to know that this was worth it. I just need to know that this was worth it, because it felt like a huge sacrifice.
Yeah.
I had my moment. We finished the film, and probably about a month after that, we did a special screening for the Nevada Broadcasters Association, and I sat, and for the first time, I watched the film, which is just a half hour. Technically, it was a current affairs program. I watched it in a room full of people. And I hated it because I saw every flaw, every lack of resource or money or time. We had to do reenactments. We were just like spitballing it, you know what I'm saying? Like doing what we could. And you know how some actors can't watch their performances on screen, like
Sure.
they have a hard time with it. That's how I am, kind of, you know. And so I was just cringing, like, oh my gosh, like when is this going to be over? So then the lights came up, the movie ended, the lights came up, and this woman, I can't remember who it was, but she was with the Broadcasters Association. She came up to the podium and she couldn't talk. She was just choked with tears. And I thought, well, wow, well maybe it did kind of, you know, touch someone, right? It was that weekend. No. I'm sorry. It was 2 weeks later, because I had made a trailer and it played. They were starting to play the trailer on TV and in churches, and you know the casinos were playing it for their employees to get everybody in the state of Nevada to watch it. That was the goal, or as many people as possible. And I remember feeling sorry for myself for not being happy with the film. It was very selfish, right? I was just kind of like that artist who felt he could have done better, and just kind of just thinking along those lines, right?
Sure.
And I was at the park with my family. I'll never forget it. And I got a Facebook Messenger message, right? And it was a woman who said, "Hey, I just want you to know, you know, this is who I am. And your trailer played at our church, and a girl ran out after watching it. And then she called us a couple hours later, and she realized that this is what was happening to her, right? Her boyfriend, which it's isolated her from her family, was keeping her in this house, was basically pimping her out. She was under 18, and she realized that this is what was happening to her. And so we talked to her, we met her, and we rescued her out of that situation. And I thought, oh my God, that was the answer to my prayers.
Right.
That was the answer to that dark moment I had 6 weeks prior, you know, that I need to know that this sacrifice was worth it, right? So anyways, that's when I thought, that's kind of when my mindset began to kind of flip on that situation. I wasn't, and I didn't think about it so much as the shortcomings, but about what it was doing for people in the community. So it aired on TV, and that night, I think at least 40 girls saw it and called for help.
Wow.
And were rescued that night.
Oh wow!
And it aired at 7:30. Excuse me. It aired at 7:30, leading into prime time. Every single station in the state of Nevada aired it simultaneously, and people were hopping mad because they were going to miss Jeopardy. You know.
Oh, jeez.
You know? But you know, I mean, you're always going to get people like that.
Yeah, screw them.
You know? And talking about, you know, like how toxic people can be on the internet. You know, people were watching it, and even though girls were literally being saved, you know, people were still complaining about, oh yeah, this is a piece of garbage, or oh, it wasn't really made at all, or this or that or whatever, blah blah blah. But you know, it's not for everybody. And you know, there were parents that were writing online saying, excuse me, you know, I don't think my daughter's being trafficked, but she's exhibiting these red flags.
Okay, yeah.
That's telling me I have to talk to my daughter more. You know, that's, you know, like, so it was opening people's eyes, right?
Before it got to that point.
Yeah, absolutely. So
Perfect.
Anyway, yeah. So now, 6-7 years later, the film's been institutionalized here in at least in Las Vegas. They show it to high school kids.
Oh.
A condensed version of it. We're talking, I think, like 12 or 13 minutes. That year, the state of Arizona, they hosted the Super Bowl, right? And because I think it aired in December or early January. So then the Super Bowl was a few weeks after that. So they used, because, and you know, I'm sure you may or may not know, the Super Bowl is actually, and these big sporting events, a lot of sex trafficking goes on around these.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Yeah. So the state of Arizona used it to train their first responders, you know, as far as what to look for and blah, blah, blah. And yeah, and it aired like, I think in 5 or 6 states, and it was nominated for an Emmy. So there you have it.
That's awesome. Well, we're
Worth it then.
and we're both dads of daughters, so we definitely appreciate the work that was put into it, because
Yeah, thank you.
yeah,
Absolutely.
something you know, obviously both of us probably have worried about at times. So,
Yeah. How old are your daughters?
mine is 6.
Mhm.
And I have an 18-year-old and a 21-year-old.
Wow. Yeah, mine are 7 and 9, and then my stepdaughter that's in Wisconsin, she's, I think, 22. You know, so
So yeah, no, appreciate you doing that.
no, of course, it was yeah, I mean, you look back now and you think, oh, okay, it was a year of work and it was worth it, you know, but when you're in the trenches, it can feel very demoralizing, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and then that led to a couple of, so that was in 2015, I think. And then I think it was 2 or 3 years later, we had that shooting in Las Vegas from the Mandalay Bay. Do you remember when that guy was?
Yeah.
So the mayor had wanted something to educate the city regarding trauma, because when something like that happens in a city, whether it's a shooting like that or even a hurricane, you know,
Yep.
like in the Midwest, you know, that tears up these cities, you know, the trauma stays, or not the cities, these little towns, you know, and when a lot of people die and property is destroyed. So they did something similar, and the city asked me to make a film talking about not necessarily the shooting, but potentially what could happen in people's lives as a result of that trauma, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, I kind of feel like that's the follow-up to Traffic No More, you know?
Well, let's mention it. Believe Again.
Yeah, I didn't title it. I'm not crazy about these titles, but yeah, it was called Believe Again Las Vegas. Yeah.
Again, you were nominated for an Emmy for it.
I lost, but that's okay.
But you had three Emmy nominations.
Yeah, 3 Emmy nominations.
So
yeah,
congrats. That's awesome.
thank you for that.
More to come.
Well, we'll see about that. I hope so.
And won the Bronze Telly Award. You won that.
Yes, I did.
What did you win for that?
The bronze, I think the bronze I got for Believe Again. And then I got another bronze for 1 hour broadcast documentary I did for this place that used horses to rehabilitate kids with traumatic backgrounds. It was a 1 hour broadcast documentary called One.
Oh, okay.
Because they say that when a horse and its rider bond, they become one, right? So we called it One. And we took these 3 kids from the inner city of Las Vegas. They were endangered youth. And we took them up to a horse ranch in Pioche, Nevada, which is, you know, just a very small, you know, it's country, right? It's country. And we had the kids work with horses for an amount of time, and we documented it. And it was a really cool thing. And my hotel room that I stayed in was haunted, so that was an added little adventure.
Oh, there's your ghost movie.
It's my ghost movie. Yeah, there you go.
Haunted hotel room.
Perfect room to write a ghost movie in.
Yes.
Go back to the room and lock yourself in until you have it written.
Yeah, it'll just write. The movie writes itself, literally.
Perfect.
Well,
and if you ever need extra podcasters in any of your movies, we're your guy.
Sign us up.
You know, do not be surprised.
If you when you watch this episode, we did a little intro and we pitched a little movie for you at the beginning. So before we brought you on.
Okay. All right.
So
we won't bore with you now, but if you watch it,
I'm gonna watch it with great interest.
Absolutely, I bet. Okay.
I wanted to ask about Eleanor, who plays the sister in King Dread 2, because I thought she was fantastic, and where you found her and kind of the story for her.
Oh yeah, Eleanor's amazing. So I did a casting call basically for all the characters, not for Pat, because I knew Pat and I knew he'd be perfect. And I knew Karina before making the movie. So I actually wrote that role for her, hoping she'd be available.
Yeah.
Right? But for those 2 characters, Ethan and Eleanor's characters, I thought, oh my gosh, you know, this is going to be a task to find these roles. And, you know, there's just so much emotion, as you know, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Written into it. So I put out a casting call in Los Angeles, in Las Vegas, and also on a website called Backstage that, you know, you can put the posting in all the major cities.
Oh, okay.
And for Ethan and Eleanor's roles, over 1,500 actors applied in, I'd say, like a 2-week period, right? Yeah. And with Eleanor, I saw her reel, right? There's just little clips of her work. And there was this amazing little clip that that she had in her reel with a male actor sitting in a car, right? And it was just a little back and forth dialogue between the two. And she had so much nuance, right, in that little clip. And I thought, oh my God, like it just instantly, I can honestly say that I felt like I had found my Jane, right?
Yeah.
When I saw that. But of course, you have to call in as many people as you can, right?
Mhm.
So the day that I met Ethan and Eleanor, they came in on the same day. I think we saw 120 actors. It was exhausing, right?
Jeez.
Wow.
It was just crazy. We rented a little room in Burbank, and we had the actors come in. We scheduled them, and she came in, and so there's something called adjustments, right? You give them the sides, which is a portion of the script beforehand, and that way they can learn the lines and stuff. And then she came in, did it, and then I gave her an adjustment. Well, do it like this, or do it like that, or be thinking this, or say it as if, whatever.
Okay.
And a well-trained actor is like a sports car, right? They come in, they're ready, and you can give them a little adjustment, and they're able to take that adjustment, internalize it, and kind of go in that different direction that you need as a director, right? As opposed to an actor who's not trained or inexperienced or just not good, literally having to pull the performance out of them, and it's just, oh my gosh, I knew I wasn't going to have time for that. And so Eleanor was like the former. She was finely tuned, and I gave her a couple of adjustments, and I thought, oh yeah, like she's definitely going to get a call back. But I didn't tell her that. So anyways, we saw the rest of the actors and actresses, and I told my casting director, Eliza, definitely call Eleanor back. And we'd already seen Ethan, and I said, I want these two to come in at the same time. Try to get them to come in at the same time, because I had a feeling that these were going to be the two, you know?
Mhm.
And so yeah, we did the callbacks, and Ethan and Eleanor came in, and they were perfect together. And Eleanor actually has become a really great friend of mine. She's been a terrific sounding board throughout the post-production process of the film. There were a lot of obstacles. So when I made the film, I raised what I knew I needed to shoot it, to get it in the can, so to speak.
Yep.
And so when I had that amount, which was roughly $67,000, I told the producer, Eric, I said, I just need to raise a contingency amount, right? Because you always want to raise another 10% just in case of any unforeseen expenses. I said, as soon as I get that additional $7,500, I said, it's a go. And then I can edit the movie myself. And I had faith that I could raise the finishing funds, right? Based on the strength of what we had shot. And I was right. So we shot the film, and Eleanor, she had a really difficult job to do. I'm not going to say too much about it.
Yeah, don't give it away.
But for those climactic scenes, for those scenes at the end, it was one take on Eleanor, and one take on Ethan, and one take on Pat in that room. And that was it. We had to go, and then we had to go outside to shoot the exterior of the house because the sun was going down. And that's all I had time for, So, and she just nailed it. But anyways, when I was raising money for the post-production of the film to finish it, that's when COVID happened, right? And so we had kept in contact after the shoot, and occasionally I felt like I needed to ask someone who was not part of my everyday life, to ask their opinion on things. And, her and I had gotten along really well. And so I'd call her, and we'd sit and talk and weigh the options and whatever, and blah, blah, blah. And we were always on the same page. And she was always a very reassuring voice during post-production, finishing the project. So yeah, I can't say enough great things about her. She's amazing. And, she's experiencing a lot of success. I think some commercials she's been in have won awards, and
Nice.
she's been working a lot.
What amazes me about this, when you see these independent movies and you see these brilliant actors, is to think of all of these wonderful actors that are out there that just don't get their chances in the big movies, and we're missing out, on performances like that.
Oh my gosh, it's so true, because when you do a casting call, you go out into the room or into the hall, and generally it's a lot of actors that look like each other, right? Because they're requesting a certain type, certain look, and you're thinking, oh my gosh, like what a life this is, I think acting is probably the most difficult of the creative jobs that are out there, because if you're a musician, at least you can go out and do busking and put a hat out and get money. What are you going to do? But someone has to hire you to act, or you got to do your own production, which a lot of actors are doing nowadays.
Yeah,
sure.
But you're absolutely right. It's just so many people want to act, and I know that there are probably people out there that have the talent that just never get the shot.
Never get the right picture, the right director to notice what they can bring to the picture.
Yeah.
But what a feeling that is to have the hunch on the actress and actor, and then see it on the final film and be like, it worked. It worked.
Oh man, absolutely. And I think that's my biggest sense of accomplishment with the film as a whole is the actors, because there's this thing called mirroring. Like you look in a mirror, right? So there's this thing called mirroring. So they say that when you're auditioning actors, if you begin to feel what the emotion that the actor's portraying, that's of course a good thing. Like if they're sad in the audition or happy, whatever emotion they're portraying, if you as the director are feeling that, that's a great indication that you found someone with some talent, because that's what you want them to achieve in the film. And all of the actors did that for me, right? When I was looking for them. So when I read the criticisms of the film, right, and there's plenty of them out there, I think of how amazing the cast is. And I think, no, you know what? Like, this is objectively a great cast. And even the people out there that I don't know that are leaving reviews on IMDb or on Amazon or any number of other sites online, I'd say probably 95% of these comments all pinpoint the acting. And it just gives me such a tremendous sense of accomplishment, because that's my job as a director, is to find the right actors to embody these characters,
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And maybe you don't want to toot your own horn, but I'll say it. It's great writing and it's a great movie. I mean, it's a great story and it's a great movie.
Thank you. I appreciate that. It was a big swing. I'm going to tell you, it was a big swing. I have a friend who I think Pat told you about. He, his name's Glenn, and he worked on a big TV show as an executive producer. He also directed episodes of it, and he watched the film, and he turned to me and he said, "How many days did you shoot this in?" I said, 11 days plus 1 day of pickups. And he said, "God, this is like 20 days of work, And it's true. So, but thank you for that. It's you do what you can. You put it out there into the world, and then hopefully you can make another one.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you can't please everybody. So
yeah, no. So absolutely.
You know that. Yes, I enjoyed it. I will, because of being a psychological thriller, I want to watch it again because I know I missed stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
I've heard that. People have told me, said, like, my gosh, so many little details, so many little bits of dialogue that you don't realize mean something. A lot of subtext. I had a lot of fun with that as a writer.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so
a lot of directors we see put themselves in on the other side of the camera for a tiny little cameo. Did I miss? Are you in the movie at all?
So in the film, Ethan's character Winters is listening to his other tenants in the building, and he's living. That's his coping device, right?
Yeah.
He's vicarious these people. Of course, his body still, his heart, his soul still yearns for that family connection, but he's been twisted in a lot of ways, and so this is the only way he feels he can do it. And in the first 10 minutes of the film, you see him listening to different families, basically, and there's a mother and a son, and then there's a couple fighting, right?
Yep.
And I'm the guy that's fighting with, and that's my real life girlfriend. So it just
Okay. Perfect.
So you have a little bit of cameo.
Yeah, that's my Hitchcock moment.
There you go.
Yeah, so I had mentioned to Kate, who had hired me at Telemundo back in the 90s, when he realizes something's wrong and he calls his illicit pharmacist who's selling him these drugs under the table.
Yeah.
And the pharmacist says, no, like, I can't help you, because obviously someone's gotten to him and scared him. Then he calls his doctor, and the receptionist that answers the phone is Kate, the lady who gave me one of my first breaks in TV.
Oh, that's awesome. That's cool.
And great advice.
Well, we enjoy promoting your film, and I've reached out to Eleanor. So if you want to put in a good word for us, we'd have her too.
I will. I'll let her know for sure.
Yeah, I reached out to her on Instagram, and so yeah, we would talk to anybody from the movie. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we wouldn't if we didn't enjoy it so much. So
absolutely.
Kudos to you. Did a great job. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, you bet. Anytime you want to come back and talk about work you got coming up or anything, let us know. We'd be more than happy.
You're going to get that call. Trust me.
Absolutely. Can't wait.
I can't imagine we've heard the last of you. So.
Well, I appreciate that. I've always been somewhat pragmatic when I think about my career, and I think, well, this could be the only film I make. So let me just swing big, and try to get that home run. And, people who know me and love me say, what are you talking about? Of course you're going to make another one. But when you're the actual guy,
mm-hmm.
It doesn't necessarily feel like that all the time.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
And then another opportunity comes up and you do it, and then you realize, oh yeah, like they were right.
Yeah.
Well, it's a small film, but by the production of it, you can't tell that it's a small film. I'm amazed by what you made it for.
Thank you for that. Thank you. Oh, it took a tremendous amount of effort from everybody.
Sure.
The producer, Eric, the production designer, cinematographer, just everybody, even down to the PAs, the sound girl, just makeup, everybody just really showed up every day. They were working for pennies, and I couldn't have done it without them. It was just an incredible experience.
And the sound was so important to the movie. It was fantastic in this low budget movie, which, as you know, was very important with all the different sounds and the songs so yeah, he wouldn't have known it.
And if you have a second, I can tell you a story about that.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yes, the film is about a sound designer, but sound, as you know, exists on different levels in the film, right? It's just so integral to the plot and to the character. So I had hired someone to do the sound, right? And it was earlier this year they were supposed to start doing the sound. And I was already getting, because I had put the movie up on IMDb and I had the website. And so film distributors, they kind of troll the IMDb, and they do their research and they find out what's in production, what's in post-production. And I was getting contacted by several distributors before the film was even done. And so I was kind of feeling the pressure, like, oh my God, like we really have to finish this thing. COVID had kind of delayed it, right? So the original guy that was going to do the sound, he kept pushing it back. And I was like, dude, we got to finish this. I got people waiting for it. I told them this is the date that I was trying to have it finished by. He said, no, I'm good. And then he said, I'm not good. I got hired. I got hired on this other gig. I'm going to go do that. And it was probably as close to despair as I've been. I felt a lot of despair in that moment when he bailed on me. And I got the sense that, like, this guy was just holding out for this other higher paying job. And if he didn't get it, he would do my film. But if he did get it, he was just going to, just leave me twisting in the wind, so to speak. Right. And so that happened. I found myself in March, which the distributors had wanted to see a screening by, I think it was late May or June, which is not a lot of time, right? So I found myself without someone to do the post sound, and that was the worst thing that could have happened to me. That ended up being the best thing, because in my, kind of being put in that position, I started, of course, searching for another post sound supervisor who could do the job. And I found David Rodriguez at 19 Audio, And, of course, he did the film for, less than what he would normally get from his day job. And he does a lot of network, big network quality stuff, for WB, CW, blah, blah, blah. And he just hit it out of the park. He gave it the attention that it needed. And I was there thinking, oh my God, like, thank God this other guy bailed on me. Really, I was almost grateful for
Sure.
it. Because David came in and he really, gave it the attention that it deserved.
Well, he did a great job. Tell him that. Again, I'm sure you have.
So before we let you go, why don't you let everybody know one more time the movie and where we can see it? And
Oh yeah, absolutely. So it's called Kindred. It's a play on the word kindred, but you spell it K-I-N space dread, D-R-E-A-D. And it's available on Amazon Prime now. And it's also available on Tubi TV. So you don't have to pay anything. If you have Tubi TV, I'd rather you watch it on that because the payouts are bigger to the filmmakers from Tubi TV. But if all you have is Amazon, that's fine.
Okay.
Awesome. Thank you so much for doing it. We can't thank you enough.
Absolutely.
Thank you enough. Really, it was a pleasure. And I enjoyed having a drink with you guys.
Hey, well, one more time. Cheers to Kindred.
Absolutely.
What are you guys drinking, by the way?
They're just screwdrivers.
Yeah.
Nice.
A lot of
getting
time,
our healthy vitamin C.
Yeah, absolutely. Well,
yeah. For a lot of the episodes, we'll try and theme a cocktail around it, but for the interviews, we just kind of drink whatever we have, So
In the mood for.
yeah. So it's more about the interview tonight than it is about the cocktail. So
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it seems like a great gig, just having a drink and talking to people,
it's perfect. It's perfect.
Exactly.
All right.
And when we don't have anyone, we have drinks and just talk to each other.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. Right on. And Pat said he had a great time with you guys. He's looking forward to talking to you guys again.
Good.
Yes.
Good.
Yeah. We've had terrific 2 nights in a row. This
Right.
is
I know.
yeah. Can't
I
thank
know.
you guys enough.
Yeah. All right.
I'll see if I can talk to some other cast members for you guys.
Yeah, if they're willing. I mean, obviously no pressure on anybody, but we're certainly willing to talk to people, so
You got it.
shout it out there as much as we can.
Absolutely. You got it.
All right. Well, thanks again. Have a good night.
Hey, man, you too. Absolutely. Thank you. Hope to see you again.
All right. Thank you.
Yes. Thanks so much.
Thank you for listening. The tavern is closed for now, but we'd love to have you back for more fun next time. Seriously, though, get your asses out of here.